Welcome to That Seems Unfortunate, where you get front row seats as we struggle to turn our ideas into reality. I'm Steven Breinstein, and I'm here with Chris Vittorio, and we're your hosts for the show. And I almost didn't I did the intro right, kinda. I kinda did it right.
Okay, hang on. So can we talk about, like, the first time we tried to do this? One of us made a sound, and, like, it only barely picked it up at the beginning of the recording because it was just...
Yeah. Which was fine because it followed up me making a joke about Busta Rhymes' penis. So I'm happy that didn't make it.
Indeed. God. Why do I exist?
That's a good question.
Also, for the record, I want everyone to know that whole time I was playing the bass riff intro, I swear to God I was using the wrong end of my pick, but apparently I wasn't.
Oh, you just thought you were?
I thought I was, that's right.
That's really strange. I thought I was using the wrong end of my voice. But I wasn't, don't worry. So how was your week?
Steve, I swear to God. Did you really just try to ask how my weekend was?
Was your week spring break last week?
Yes.
Oh. Well, then neither of us had spring break this week.
No.
My spring break's in 2 weeks.
Okay, see, now I'm facing a different issue with this whole bass thing.
What would that be?
My headphone cord for my laptop is now wrapped in my bass strap.
Oh.
Please kill me.
That sounds like a predicament.
Okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take off my headphones. I won't be able to hear Steve in case he's saying anything
Alright, here's
stupid.
the gameplay. I'm going to take off my shirt.
That may be possible.
I don't know
now
why.
I'm going to put it back on my head, and we're going to set the bass aside on a totally different place. I tell you what, the beginning of this podcast has just been a real delight, let me tell you.
Yeah. We are comedy geniuses, really.
We're comedy geniuses in the fact that our whole lives are nothing but disasters.
Our lives are comedy geniuses. We're not, but our lives are.
Indeed.
I don't know how that works, but it does. My voice cracked.
Congratulations, you 20-year-old bastard.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I am. This is the first podcast. Because it's our first podcast since I turned 20, and it's also episode 20. I forgot about that.
And we have 20 subscribers.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Just 7 more years until I die, mysteriously, with the white lighter. So, moving on.
I was going to say, hang on now. Now, for that, you have to be an acclaimed musician.
Yeah, that's true.
So what have you done, Steve?
Don't make me have an existential crisis on the show. I made a podcast.
That's good enough.
Yeah. I'd say that's worth it. I played Rock Band for 7 hours straight yesterday. Does that count?
I haven't played Rock Band in a while.
Gonna play Rock Band today.
The people in the podcast aren't gonna understand this, but do you think Vince is gonna want to face me in Street Fighter again?
Absolutely. That's gonna be like one of the highlights that isn't Tekken related of the night.
That isn't Tekken related.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris and I are going to a party later with a lot of fighting games and Rock Band.
Like, guys, think about it. 2 introverts at a party of like 7 people.
Of 7 introverts.
Of 7 other introverts.
Yeah, it's not going to be very lit. But
it's going to be lit enough for introverts.
It is true. There will be a lot of soda and video games and pizza.
I already had pizza today, but I'm not turning down the offer of more pizza.
I didn't eat yesterday. I mean, I ate snacks.
This podcast got really depressing.
I wouldn't call it depressing, just hungry.
No, you just said, with just, from what I imagine, the straightest and saddest face, I didn't eat yesterday.
I haven't eaten in 6 days. Listen, in honor of St. Patrick's Day, I didn't eat. That has no correlation, but
no,
those are two things that did happen.
It's like, it was St. Patrick's Day. I didn't eat. Yes.
Yeah, I can just use one as an excuse for the other.
Anyway, that thing we were supposed to do.
Yeah, that's a thing. You cut out at like the worst times. So,
I know. I'm sorry.
When we left off last week, we did relationships, right? That's what we wrapped up. Character relationships.
Yes.
And silly me, I left the notebook that I wrote everything in on campus again. It's sitting right next to the other notebook with the rest of the stuff from the show in it. I'm 0 for 2. But I luckily have a third notebook.
Steve!
And this time I will forget it again on campus. Well, no, I couldn't possibly. I'm coming home for spring break.
Slightly more mad at you.
Next weekend I'll be home for spring break. I couldn't possibly forget it. I'll find a way.
I'm sure you will.
But for this week, our plan is to create kind of like a timeline, I guess, or like a storyboard for what we envision going on in the show.
Did somebody say smorgasbord? I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is the Hungry Podcast, so.
By God, we just found the name of the title again.
The Hungry Podcast?
The Hungry Podcast.
You know, the one that has nothing to do with food.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. We're hungry for your knowledge. Anyway.
Stop this. Stop this while you can.
So yeah, I think the best way to do this, and I'm very artistically challenged, so this is going to end up looking really bad on this notepad or this notebook, but I kind of want like each story to be put on like a timeline, like the rectangular timelines. You know what I'm talking about?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Kind of like how you would produce music, how you have the different music tracks with how long they go on, but instead do it with like stories.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the best way to do that is to start by listing the different storylines we want, maybe even give them like a scale of importance so that we know how long and how important they should be. So in terms of individual storylines, what were some of the ones that we had from last week? We had, like the very clear underlying one of the doctors planning the, what would it be called? Like a mutiny?
Yeah. And weren't all those doctors gonna die?
What?
Weren't all those doctors gonna die? You said that we were gonna have some sort of execution.
You have completely cut out. I don't even know what you're saying. Something about the doctors die and then what?
Discord! Yeah. Like, didn't you say the doctors are gonna, like, die in some sort of mass execution? Because of the doctors, like, the head doctors, power hungriness.
You cut out again. I heard doctors are gonna die, like, power hungry. Welcome to the static show.
Okay, listen, I'm about to type it to you. This is not a joke.
Are you referring to the storyline of the assistants being promoted to doctors in the second arc of this show?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
But only after the others are executed.
Yes.
Yes.
So I talked to somebody yesterday about this. The head doctor himself would not be the one historically to have the other doctors killed.
Okay.
Because this head doctor has higher ups.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Like if the whole thing is working underneath the government, this guy is going to have higher ups. So
yeah,
he would be what we thought about, and I'm gonna run this by you, is instead of just having him outright do it, have him kind of mention to one of his higher ups that he sees some of his coworkers are not proving their loyalty, and have the higher ups do it.
Okay.
So
I see where you're going with this.
yeah, so he wouldn't be the one to do it, but he would kind of insinuate that there is a storm brewing and the government would be quick to put it out.
Yeah. But how would they do it?
Yeah, that's more historically accurate.
How would they do it, though?
So yeah, we have the Dr. Mutiny planning, which would be what if we were to scale importance for each storyline, would we do it on a 10-point or a 5-point scale?
10-point, probably.
What?
10. Mike, for the love of God, if you don't stop cutting out, I'm going to be upset.
This is weird how often you've been cutting out. This is more
I know,
than usual.
and it says I'm connected. You know what? Give me a minute. I'm going to disconnect and I'm going to reconnect.
All right.
I'm sorry. We might have some speech mixing here.
I'm going to do Danger Zone. Highway to the Danger Zone. What's going on?
I left for literally less than 5 seconds,
and
he starts singing Danger
Zone.
Zone.
Zoning, yes. Okay.
Anyway.
So 5-point or 10-point scale?
10-point scale.
Okay. So clearly this mutiny planning would be a 10, because that is the story. That's the main storyline, is the progression of this mutiny.
Yes.
So we'll put that at 10. Some of the side stories.
By the way, guys, everybody watch me as we go through like the importance of each story. I immediately regret going with the 10-point scale.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Just cut all the numbers in half. Suddenly it's a 5-point scale.
Well, yeah.
So the
what if I give it a 7?
They'll do 0.5s.
Yeah.
So we had the seductive assistant affair with Doctor.
Yeah. That's like a frickin' 6.
Yeah, not super important, but still an important thing.
Yeah.
We had the schizophrenic patient's relationships with the seductive assistant versus motherly assistant.
That's like a 3.
What was that?
That's like a 3.
Yeah. Anything with the patients is like low in terms of storyline importance, but high in terms of being there. Like,
that's more like pointing towards a mutiny of patients if there were to be one.
Yeah. And then we had the interaction with like the drug addict having the confidential information. And then like leaking it while being on LSD and getting killed. I would say that's pretty important. Maybe something like a 7.
I was gonna say 5, but 7 sounds better because, again, it's leaked information.
Yeah. And then let's see. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones we had. Do you remember any of them like specifically?
What about anything to do with that one guy who was a patient?
What guy?
He had a name.
Oh, the real guy.
He was working for. Yeah.
I need his name. I hate not knowing his name so many times. Here, let me do some Googling.
Google. This is the most exciting podcast we've ever done.
Yeah, we're really on our game today. Frank Olson.
Right. Frank Olson.
So Frank Olson, I'm just gonna put Frank Olson as a storyline himself because we know what that means.
He is one.
What would that be? I'd say it's important. I wouldn't call it like 10 important, but maybe like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8.
Because it's the real world association, which is super important to the show. And then Frank Olson looks a lot like Frank Ocean.
Does he actually?
Not the guy, the name.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
Sounds like, I guess.
I mean, yeah, he does sound a lot like that. I was gonna say, should we name the guy Frank Ocean?
Frank Ocean. Yeah. No relation.
No relation.
Um,
My name is Reverend Father Uncle Ruckus. No relation.
we had... See, the other ones I just don't even see as, like, worth mentioning major. Because they're not necessarily story plot lines. It's more just personality, like the conflicts between the logical and hot-headed assistants, and, like, just everything that happens to the normal patient. No, they're not really storylines, more so they're just things that happen throughout.
Yeah.
I think in terms of story, these 5 are the only major ones. Right?
Yeah.
Because I guess the important ones to note are the ones that progress, like the ones that turn into things. I don't think any kind of conflict between those two assistants is going to turn into anything other than just a consistent conflict.
It's really not.
Same with the normal patient. I don't think we have anything in mind to have happen to escalate that situation. So it makes sense for him to just not technically be a storyline, just be something there.
Yeah.
So I can't really think of any other major plot like movements.
Except no, that wouldn't be a major plot movement. I was gonna say like any interaction between the patients and the volunteers, like the patients kind of getting into the heads of the volunteers.
Yeah, I think that would more so just be like, something that's always happening.
Yeah.
So I think for right now we can work with these 5.
We can totally do it.
So I think in terms of a timeline, the mutiny would just be going on throughout. Like that would be a storyline. Yeah. Would it be? No. It wouldn't technically be going on throughout. It would start at a certain point. Because they wouldn't be planning the mutiny from day one.
No, not at all. Like, something would have to happen in order to... Actually, how about this? What if, like, the mutiny starts when the drug addict is on LSD and reveals that classified information?
So, you're saying, like, that's what sparks it?
Yeah.
I could see that, yeah.
Like, he accidentally reveals something that the lower doctors don't know and don't like.
Well, the mutiny starts with the doc... Okay, yeah. Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so... To split up the timeline, I think we should split it up. It wouldn't technically be by episode, because obviously we're not doing episode by episode basis, but I think if we have, like, a set amount of, like, boxes, so to speak...
Mm-hmm.
What would you think? So, like, I guess the hypothetical question would be, how many episodes could you see happening in a first season of this?
In a first season?
Something like... my ballpark is 7.
Wow, that's, like, low. I was going to say, like, 10.
I could see 10.
Because
I was saying between... I was thinking
like,
7, between 7 and 10.
Episodes?
That's also a question that...
So how long are the episodes?
Would impact, but I don't think it would change much in terms of setting up story plots. Basically, what would be the best way to split it up? I think we could split it up as 10.
Yeah, I could say
just
that.
For now.
Yeah.
So let me do this splitting up here. So as the show starts, so if we are, or when we are, I guess, to make this hypothetical pilot, what storylines of these 5 would be occurring from day 1, like from episode 1, from a pilot? I could see the drug addict confidential info thing starting because he would find it out like on entering the facility.
Yeah, and that would be like,
and that's
the day
what the introduction is basically.
Like, I think we should start with, like, you know, everybody, like, all the patients being transferred to the facility first of all. Like, opening scene.
I think the opening scene is the assistants getting ready.
You think?
Because
Because I would see, like, the opening scene with all the patients being brought to the facility, then moving into the assistants getting ready.
I think it might be better just to start under the assumption that, because it would be kind of hard to start the show as the experiments first begin, like from the very start. I think we can start early in the experiments, but I don't think right at the start is the best way to execute it. So I think
I was gonna say late in the experiments.
oh no, I think it's better to do it early.
Like,
Like not super early, but like maybe
Yeah.
like a year in.
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like a year into experiments.
Because I mean, the experiments went on for what, 20 years?
Yeah.
So starting off like maybe not even a year in or a year in with like, so how I picture it for like an opening scene would be the like each assistant getting ready to start the day, and then having them meet with the patients, specifically like the four or the three, being the schizophrenic, the prostitute, and well, no, I guess it'd just be them two. Because
See, here's how I was imagining like the patients showing up at the facility. Like, you could have like the volunteers getting ready for the day, getting dressed, doing whatever they do. But like all of the patients are like blindfolded in a van, and they're like brought to like some sort of entry room where the volunteers meet them. It's like a kidnapping.
but it didn't go down as a kidnapping, so to speak, in every case, from what I
True.
read. I think it'd be okay because I think from the start of the show, two of the patients are already there, being the prostitute and the schizophrenic, and then
Yeah.
the drug addict and the normal patient are brought in as part of like the new wave of patients. So I think having them brought in after the assistants have already met the first two, like the prostitute and schizophrenic, I think that would be a good way to go about it.
Okay.
And so I could see as the drug addict is being brought in, that's when he sees the confidential information, but obviously he doesn't care because it's not drugs. So I think from the first episode, that's a good storyline to have being developed.
Okay.
So I'm going to mark that down. Now, the mutiny would not be going on from the first episode. I don't think Frank Olson would be in the first episode. So that leaves the affair between the assistant and the doctor, and then the schizophrenic with the two assistants. I could see one of them being brushed over from the start.
Not the affair. The affair needs to wait until at least
Yeah, I think the affair would be
episodes.
better off later. Like, not much later, but like,
Yeah.
not immediately.
I was going to say like maybe 3-4 episodes in,
Yeah.
we bring in the affair.
Okay. So from the start, now that I'm looking at it again, this is tough because I don't know if the schizophrenic with the two assistants would count as like a storyline that progresses enough. I don't think it turns into anything. I think it kind of falls under the same category as like the conflict between the assistants or the conflict between the prostitute and the one assistant. I don't know if it would have a timeline, so to speak. Because a timeline
Yeah.
assumes that there is a beginning and an end to it, and I don't think there's a beginning or an end to it. I think it's just something that's just happening. So maybe we just focus on...
Yeah, kinda.
Well, because with the other four, the mutiny obviously has a huge, like, game-changing ending. The affair obviously has, like, a lot of underlying, like, consequences that could come from it. The drug addict has a huge game-changing, as well as Frank Olson both dying, has huge game-changing, like, things to it. But I don't see anything with that with the schizophrenic. At least not with the
Yeah.
two assistants. So I think it's better if we just focus on
No.
the 4 like big storylines.
Yeah.
Okay.
We kind of get into a lot of the patients later.
Yeah. Well, because with each individual episode, obviously the core things are going to be either developing patient relationships or doctor relationships. Just those are things that are just going to be naturally going on in every episode. But these 4 storylines are going to be like the major things to focus on.
Yeah.
So I think those are the 4 to be important. So the storyline with the drug addict, what is a good time for him to get killed? How long does it go on?
Him knowing things just before he gets killed?
Yeah. Like how long before he releases the information and then they kill him?
I'd say just above halfway through the season.
I'd
say either halfway or just above halfway.
Okay.
Through the season.
So it starts at 1, like at the beginning, but then it's not mentioned again until maybe 4, and then kill.
No, I'd say more like it's
mentioned.
It starts in 1, and then it's like vaguely mentioned throughout the season. It's like just vaguely just kind of sitting there, you know?
Okay.
And then around like episode 5 or 6, the LSD thing happens, and you know, that's when the mutiny starts.
Okay. So let's see. Have it mentioned. I think 5 would be a good spot to have it happen, because the mutiny kind of is more important. So having it develop for 5.5-ish episodes rather than 4.5 is probably better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be good. Okay. So that storyline's good. With Frank Olson, tying him into the storyline itself is important. When do you think it would be good to have that happen? Basically put, because he'd only be around for what, maybe 2 episodes? 2 or 3?
Okay, there goes my idea.
What? Oh, what was yours?
He comes in right at the end of the season and is like the driving force for season 2.
What do you mean?
Like, he comes in right at the end of season 1, you know, episode 10. And then his actions drive season 2 forward.
Okay. I can see that.
Then again, I don't know how we're going to do that is the problem.
Yeah, the gap between 1 and 2, like the bridge that I had in mind was the doctors being killed.
Yeah.
And having 2 start with the head doctor being a more pivotal thing and the reporter coming in. Yeah. So that was going to be the important part of a second arc.
Unless we want to have 2 important parts of the second arc. It would be a little bit more difficult to juggle, though.
Yeah, and I think at the same time, in terms of the actual, like, real-life timeline, the Frank Olson incident happened in 53, which is very early on.
Yeah, it is.
So I think having it happen during this first season is good.
Yeah, okay. So how are we going to pull that off?
So basically what happens is he's introduced and added amongst the rest of the patients, and you get to know him, and then things start to get really shady with him, and then he's dead. Obviously that is a very skimmed version of it, but his death...
So his death is a driving force instead.
Yeah, it's not as pivotal as what happens with the drug addict, because the drug addict happens amongst others.
Yeah. So Frank Olson's death would, you know, add like a mystery vibe to the show?
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that working.
So, let's see. What would be a good time for that to happen? So if the drug addict dies on 5, would it be better to have the Frank Olson thing happen before after, maybe during, like...
I'd say here. You know what? Here's what I'd say. We have the Frank Olson thing start during the drug addict, like during that whole thing, but he dies afterward.
So, have Frank Olson be introduced before 5, and then have him die after 5, is what you're saying?
Yeah, like, have Frank Olson jump into the picture before the information is revealed.
Okay.
And then have him die after it's revealed.
Okay. I guess that would also make sense, seeing as if he was very suspicious of the whole thing. So, if he's there for the drug addict situation, I could see that working. Okay, so would 4 to 6 work?
4 to 6, yeah.
Okay. Let me mark these down. Okay. So that's the other one. Okay, now the affair, you said, starts around what, 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4.
Okay.
I was gonna say, since we have Frank Olson coming in 4, maybe we should have the affair jump to 3 instead.
Yeah, I can see that.
Keep it separate, you know?
The way I'm looking at it, I kind of like the idea of having maybe each episode take 2 different stories and progress them, or 2 of the 4, and progress them. So, obviously, 6 through 10 would have the mutiny.
Yeah.
And it would be the core part of each of the episodes. So the way I have this timeline looking right now, 5 and 6 are each covered in terms of having 2 storylines moving. And then everything else has 1 except for the second episode.
Okay.
So the second episode, I can assume... So with 1 and 2, it would make sense for just character development in general to be a focus. Because you're just introducing everyone to everything. So I could see for 1 and 2 just having the idea of development be the big plot point.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily need like crazy storylines going on immediately.
No, definitely not. I would say we bring that in around episode 3.
Yeah. So for the affair, I could see it, I guess, almost popping in when needed.
Okay.
Because it's not like the most important of the...
Casually really far away from my mic to put the bass back.
Okay, so here's what I'm seeing. This is my rough sketch for how each episode would go.
Okay.
So the first 2 episodes would focus on the drug addict situation and the development of the characters. The third episode would focus on the affair starting as well as the development ending, pretty much. Like, have the first 3 episodes pretty much get the introductions out of the way. Mm-hmm. The 4th episode would focus on the affair again, but also bring in Frank Olson.
Yes.
The 5th episode would be the end of the drug addict, the start of the mutiny, and also somewhat continue with Frank Olson.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah. He wouldn't be as important because he's not introduced nor killed, but it would be like the middle ground of that. And then the 6th be the end of Frank Olson, no pun intended, and the like full development of the mutiny plan, while 7 through 10 is just focused on the mutiny. And then I could see tossing the affair into maybe like 7 or 8 or 9, but having 10 be like, since it's a finale, it would be the big focus on this mutiny coming to an end.
Yeah, but before we go on, how is the end of Frank Olson a pun?
How is it what?
How is it even a pun? I don't get it.
Oh, because he dies.
Well,
but it's also the end of his storyline.
That's Steve.
That was the pun. Was that I was implying that it was the end of his storyline, but in reality, it's he dies. It's the end of him.
Well, yeah, but that wasn't a pun. That was just kind of a double entendre.
Same thing.
Not quite.
Well, it was more of a joke on my end because I have each.
It was an accidental.
I have each story arc labeled shorthand. And there's like development and affair and mutiny, but Frank Olson's is just Frank Olson.
Okay.
So like to say the start of the mutiny and the end of Frank Olson, I was referring to both of them as story plots, but in reality, it's the end of Frank Olson.
It actually is the end of Frank Olson. That's what I thought you were trying to say.
Yeah, that's not
the end of Frank Olson.
That's not what I was necessarily conveying, but it's what it could be interpreted as. So yeah, kind of pun-like.
As we sit here arguing exactly what a pun is.
Okay, so I think, having the affair kind of get pushed to the side during the whole Frank Olson and drug addict both dying very quickly thing would make sense, and then have it come back for 7 and 8, and then have 9 and 10 just focus on the mutiny.
Yes, definitely. Now, would 10 include the head doctor's response and the government like coming in and killing the people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the 10th episode would practically end with the doctors being killed and the assistants being promoted.
Okay.
Okay. So I kind of like this. It looks like a pretty good first act timeline. It's very shorthand. Which, I mean, I guess that's fine, because we aren't necessarily fleshing out an entire show. We are just doing a skeleton and then fleshing out a pilot.
Yes, we are.
So I think I like this. I like the progression of this. I like the storylines we have. It's good stuff.
We have a successful storyboard, kind of.
Yeah, it's about as successful as it's going to get with what we have planned in mind for it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I guess the last thing to do would be to develop an entire pilot episode.
Now, do we want to get a start on this now, or do
I think
we
it's
want
good
to
to
save
do
that
that.
for a
We
whole
still have a
episode?
good amount of time.
Yeah,
Gonna...
unless you want to. Well, I still have to get ready for that party in half an hour. But hey,
That is true.
we could just like shorten the episode a little.
Crinkling of paper to turn the page. Woo!
Yeah, I think we can cut it honestly at like 45 minutes.
I'm down. Okay, so what is your knowledge of scripts? Have you seen like scripts for stuff, and do you know how scripts work?
Okay, so listen, and I want to make this really clear. I took an entire class in script writing.
Wonderful.
Unfortunately though, the teacher was terrible. The scripts were all for commercials.
Less wonderful.
And I never once looked at a movie. Actually, no, I've seen a movie script before. Like, just the 2 columns and what's planned. I've seen that, and I've worked with them before. So
the way I've written very poorly written looking scripts in the past that you know of. And the way I would do that is to outline each scene before going into dialogue. So basically getting an idea of where it's taking place, who's there.
Yep.
And then going into dialogue.
Okay.
So
it's like setting first, then dialogue.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get MK Ultra Pilot. I'm an Ultra Pilot. I'm not. I'm a terrible pilot.
I'm an Ultra Pilot if, you're playing Grand Theft Auto. I'm good at that. By the way, anyone who has an Xbox, an Xbox One, play with me on GTA because I'm lonely and none of my friends play it anymore. Either that or I should join the PS4 Master Race.
Join us. We have Sony.
We have Sony. I've thought about buying a PS4 though.
It's a pretty good system. It's got more originals and stuff.
Yeah, I thought about it. I just don't know.
Okay, so for this opening scene, are you okay with the idea of having the whole show open with the assistants getting ready?
I want to have something with the patients, because, like...
Well, the patients would definitely jump in quickly. But my thought process was more of it opening with basically the assistants going to work. And then when they get to work, that's when they see the patients and they talk to the patients and you meet the patients.
See, if we're following, like, the assistants to work, I feel like we should be following the patients to the same facility, you know?
You think so?
I don't know. It's just, like, this thing in my head that, like, keeps bugging me.
I like following the patients, and I like including the patients a lot, but I kind of think the better way to go about it is have the assistants be this main focus.
Okay.
Have them kind of be what you focus on the most, like have them be the main characters, so to speak.
Okay, but I don't think we should just, throw the patients into the facility and just have them there. I feel like they should have, like,
the patients
sort of grounding.
are going to have character and are going to be fleshed out, just to a slightly lesser extent than the volunteers.
Okay, so instead of following the patients there, maybe they should just, show it, like, while the patient, not even the patients this time, but, like, say while the volunteers are on their way to work, like, we put in still shots or very vague moving shots of the facility itself.
Yeah, okay.
Like, instead of just the patients, like, get a feel for, like, the destination here.
Maybe even, like, have them get briefed on something on the way.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that.
Or just, like, have some sort of PA announcement.
Also,
you think they would have that in a facility like that?
I don't know. Did they have PA announcements in the 50s?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay. How did they... Nah, that's a stupid question. They had cars in the 50s. I'm dumb.
Yes, they did. They did have cars in the 50s.
I guess to phrase it less stupidly,
unless
I
you
would
want to
have
have one of them take the bus.
Yeah, did people use cars frequently in the 50s was my less stupid way of phrasing it.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
They did.
So,
but
how...
Do you want to have at least, like, one person, like, take the bus?
What if they carpooled, like, all four of them together?
No, see, that's like putting them too close to one another, I think.
Well, they would be getting ready separately, but then they'd all meet in this car.
I don't know. I don't like that idea for some reason. It's just like there's putting them in a group, and then there's, like, having them in a group and having them be individual people. And I think putting them into that car puts them too much as a group mentality.
Okay. I can agree with that.
So I can see, like, for example, like, two of them getting in the same car, one of them taking their own car, and one of them taking the bus or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can see
that. But, like,
that.
all four in, like, one car, that's, like, just too much.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. All right, so the opening scene, like, the very first thing that would be shown, would the best volunteer to show get ready first be the logical one?
Sure. I suppose it doesn't quite matter the order they go in, just not the seductive one first.
Yeah. I think it'd be best to show the logical one right out the gate, because it is his is the most neutral, I suppose, of the four.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that.
Because we kind of have, like, positive, neutral, and then we have negative, and then we have indifferent, and then we have positive.
Yeah.
So having the logical one be the first one shown would make the most sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't feel like making this pilot script too in-depth, so I think it's fine just to say logical assistant gets ready for work.
Yeah. Hang on. I need to look something up for the sake of this pilot episode. Like, because who else would who would be getting ready after the logical person?
Probably the hothead.
The hothead? Okay. Okay, write that down. I'm simply doing this for the sake of this is really funny.
Sake of what?
It's really funny. Just, you gotta trust me.
Sure.
Because, like, this is background to the pilot here. You think we should have seductive be, like, the third person? Like, not the last, you know?
Oh, I kind of assumed it'd be best to have her be the last.
You want her to be last?
I think it'd just be funny to have the contrast of going from the motherly one straight to the seductive one and kind of have them, like, pretty much right out the gate show their contrast.
Yeah, because I want to see... Okay, listen, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to look up this song, okay? And I'm trying to see when it was released. And I want to see if it would be, like... Nope. Nope! Nope.
Did they have...
Too early.
Did they have Polaroid cameras in the 50s?
I don't think so.
Did they have cameras of any kind?
Yes, they definitely had cameras, but I think they were like those big stand cameras.
Okay. So that makes sense.
I think. Don't quote me on that. They might have had Polaroids.
Yeah, that's something we have to historically fact check. But I could see it might be better to have the seductive go before the motherly. Because the motherly assistant could have, like, pictures of her patients hanging up in her house.
Okay.
And so it might be better to have her be the last one as to, like, introduce the patients kind of subtly after you see all the assistants.
Okay.
So I think it might be better to have the motherly one be last. Because it still shows that contrast, even though I prefer showing the positive end of the contrast before the negative end. I still think showing the contrast is fine.
Okay. I'm seriously trying to find some... Okay. Because it's really making me sad here.
What?
I'm trying to look up songs from 1953 to play in the background, and I really wanted to play Tutti Frutti by Little Richard, but that didn't come out until 1955.
Nice.
And it's making me sad.
You
know what? We're going to use it anyway. Screw it. They're not going to know the difference. Unless they look it up, and then they'll get mad. But you know what? That's okay.
Yeah. They would never look it up. We're just going to work off of that assumption. Okay.
Like, they won't look it up.
So I think having just this very, very rough start is a good place to stop for the week.
Yeah.
Wow. So I think next week we'll have this pilot done.
At least partially. At least partially we will.
Yeah, we'll get a very good way, if not all the way, next week. That's pretty cool. I'm very excited. This looks really good.
Indeed.
I think it is a very well put together. I know we aren't necessarily the most professional of workers.
Oh no. We're in college.
Yeah, between getting sidetracked and just dead air and occasional stupid jokes and phrasing and shorthand and pretty much everything.
Jeopardy.
Yeah. Everything that we've done hasn't necessarily been the most professional, but I hope the people that are listening, if anyone is listening, I don't know.
Those 3 people.
Yeah, I hope
from last time.
anyone that's listened enjoys the idea as much as myself and Chris do, because I like it. I think it's really good.
By the way, if you heard anything in the background there, my phone might have gone off.
My phone went off like 3 times during this episode.
Well, yeah, but I forgot to put mine on silent.
Yeah, me too. So, mine was just vibrations. So if you heard weird vibrating,
no, for me it was just actual, you know.
Yeah, you know, the usual ringtone of do really loudly.
do really loudly. Steve, can we call our band that now?
Do really loudly. I'm okay with that. That sounds pretty cool.
I'm in. Let's do it. We'll do show tunes mixed with prog metal.
Sure.
Okay, I think we're gonna leave it here now for the.
Yep, that's it for us this week. Be sure to follow all of our stuff down below and subscribe if you haven't. And do the and
Tell
do that.
your mom I said
Yeah,
hello.
Yeah, say hi to the folks for us. Pet your dog and say good boy or girl if it's a girl dog.
Or both.
And
don't assume your dog's gender.
And in the wise words of Bob Barker, don't forget to have your pet spay and neutered. Now spin that wheel. Showcase Showdown. Good night. Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Might be our best outro yet, really.